the Savage W, MMA fan, back with another video. Well. Ashley Evans Smith. So I was reading an article. It had some headline like, and I'll leave it in the description if you want to check it out. Ashley Evans Smith says that MMA journalists aren't weak or that they're tough. And at the beginning of the the journalist referenced some shit that Dana White said about them being the weakest motherfuckers and they're terrible from a few months ago and shit. And Ashley Evans Smith comes out and says, well, I did journalism in college and I don't think they're weak. I think they're actually quite strong and they actually have understanding of things and whatnot. And, it goes on to talk about how Ashley Evans Smith wants to go back into journalism or whatnot once she leaves the UFC and retires from MMA, period. And the whole thing is that I have a weird response to this because it's like, all right, well, what's the big deal? I mean, you want to be a journalist and you want to be a motherfucking thief who steals masks from people's porches during a pandemic, and we're just supposed to completely forget that shit. Your nasty ass attitudes toward people and the excuses you make while other people continue to get shit for what they do. Is that what we're supposed to do, Ashley? No. I mean, me personally, I do think MMA journalists or so-called journalists are kind of weak and gutless and don't say enough. I mean, the ones considered the real ones probably don't get any attention for their research and their hard fucking work and their efforts and their honesty. So, I don't know what journalism school that Ashley Evans Smith went to, but if it's the same one that these other MMA journalists went to, or journalists just in general, then shit, it's really no fucking good. But something interesting came up early in this article where they were saying that apparently this year, Ashley Evans Smith started a podcast. A fucking podcast. So, I think she's up to 28 episodes. She started it in late May. And the podcast is called Sex and Violence. Something like that. Yeah, Sex and Violence. And, my first reaction was, okay, that's surprising. She has a podcast. And she related it to journalism, saying, you can do anything with a podcast. You can make it a talk, a form of journalism and whatnot. Okay. All right, I understand. You got your personal shit, and then you got more public shit and information that you can provide people. Yeah. I basically know what journalism is, and I definitely know what a podcast is. I love fucking podcasts. I've been into, getting into that myself. So as much as I want to talk shit about Ashley Evans Smith, I will give her some props. I don't have to agree with what the fuck she says. And I certainly don't agree with a lot that she does to say that, hey, this is great. You started a podcast. You use your platform to hopefully have you somewhere where you're taking care of yourself after your fighting career is up. At least you understand that. I just don't like the fucking griminess, Ashley. I just don't like the way you carry shit. It's like you want to make a podcast talking about fighters. Mostly fighters come on the show, and some sex experts. And you want to teach people about sex and violence. And it just feels like a character issue to me. Like, I hope she's getting that in order, because I'm like, really? The griminess? I mean, I get the title. I can see you enjoying sex and being very flaunted, even though I don't want anything you got. I'm not really into you. I mean, but hey, you got people who've come on the show, and people who've been on the show so far has been Nina Asaroff. Okay. Jillian Robinson has actually been on the show, Maybe I'm not surprised by that. But, when I saw Jessica, I said, oh, no, I don't know. I don't know if I want to fucking listen to this fucking podcast at all. But it is what it is. And, she's doing okay with the podcast. And, she's getting ready to fight this weekend. And, as you know, I ain't rolling with her. I don't fuck with her like that at all. But this idea that there's a such thing as an integrous MMA journalism field, I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that. But I did find it interesting that the motherfucker had a podcast and that she was trying to do something for herself outside of sport. So I will give her that one fucking point. I will. This is something that other fighters need to pay attention to. Indeed. But one more thing. Savage, just want to say one more thing to the WMMA world. If you choose to go on Ashley Evans Smith's podcast, that's on you. I'm not dealing with that. But let me say this. Here's an idea Don't just go on her shit. Start your own shit. Start your own channel. Do a YouTube channel. Sell something. Do something. Don't let only these fucked up individuals get over. You know? You know what I'm talking about? Don't let this flat booty dry. I mean, I was listening to her fucking podcast and I just felt like, wow, Baby Turtles have much more fucking personality than Ashley Evans Smith. You know? She need to keep that journalism in her fucking journal. But anyway, I mean, you know, this little shit right here. I'm a very sexual person. Feet are a very big thing, and I'm not weirded out by it. You know, and keep your crusty toes. Keep all this shit, cause I ain't fucking with no criminals, okay? That just get to skate around and do what they want while they want to shit on every other motherfucker that's of a much darker hue. I ain't got time for that shit. This is Savage W, MMA fan. I'm out.